friends, my name is Lisa. If we haven't met, if we have, welcome back to my pottery studio. I'm very glad you're here today. This week's project is to get started on rebuilding my wedging table. Now, if you've been following along, you know that I recently rebuilt my entire pottery studio, and I had for the longest time a wedging table that I built years and years ago that was just kind of slapped together with 2x4s and 2-inch wood screws, and it did great. I mean, it was a fantastic table, but I did get rid of it during the remodel process, and then I attempted to see if using an old sit-stand desk, like, you know, an automated sit-stand desk, would work for a wedging table. Turns out, spoiler alert, it does not work. Actually, pretty sure I just broke the sit-stand desk. Today, I want to get started on rebuilding it. So effectively what happened is like the hydraulics of it just completely like shot. It's now like a lot lower than what I would normally, well, it's a couple inches lower than what I would want it. So I am going to reuse the actual tabletop and just rebuild kind of the base for it and make something a lot sturdier. So that means I need to get this taken apart, cleaned up, and we'll take it upstairs to the wood shop so we can start working on the build. I have already designed the base for this in SketchUp. SketchUp is a tool that I use for whenever I'm building cabinets or anything like that, and just something I learned as I got started in woodworking more, that the better you plan, the less mistakes you make and the less wood you use, because in woodworking, we can't just reclaim the wood. Like if you cut it and you cut it too short, you're kind of out of luck. It's not like clay, of course, where you just wedge it back up and you can reuse it.
Bed, and I still got you in my head from all those pretty words you said. It's like I'm wasted. Every time I see your face, I'm losing track of time and space. I don't know where I am. It's like I'm wasted, and I won't waste it. And I promise that I will stand by you forever. I can't get you out of my mind.
Well, in a shocking turn of events, I kind of unplugged everything, plugged everything back in, and the table is actually working. The sit-stand desk is actually working again. I'm still going to rebuild it though, but I guess it's good to know that I can potentially use this somewhere else or donate it and it will still be useful. One of the reasons why I decided to take this project on today is because I've been in the wood shop doing some work finishing up my laundry room cabinets. I think I shared this with you and maybe in another video, but I built these cabinets in my laundry room, and this week I was working on the doors and I accidentally made the doors on this lower cabinet too long. So I had to remake them, and then I was thinking I was gonna set up my paint sprayer to spray them because they'll have a nicer finish if I do that. And then I was like, well, if I'm setting up the sprayer, what else can I do that I need to potentially spray? And I thought, well, I can build the wedging table because I'm gonna paint that because it makes it easier to clean. So it all just kind of snowballed. That's how things like this come about in my brain. Okay, I have my design printed out here, so I've got my measurements in front of me. The wood I'm going to be using, I just got this from Lowe's. So this is a 2.5 by 2.5 exact measurement post. It wasn't in like the dimensional wood section. It was in millwork kind of wood. So like where you might find some more like kind of specialty pieces. And so these are fantastic because they're really pretty straight and square, like when you get them, so you don't have to really mill anything. I think they'll be sturdy legs. And then I got, oh, and they're made out of poplar, which is, since I'm gonna paint it, poplar takes paint really well, and it's still a good hardwood. And then I also got for the side, the kind of rails that will go 3 out of 4 sides around. I also got these are 1 by 3.5 inches exactly. So it's actually 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches. And I got several boards of that. And I should have plenty. I do have a backup piece just in case, which is always good to buy a little bit extra. Anyway, I do think this should be a fairly straightforward build because it's a pretty straightforward design. My legs, I'm going to cut down to 2.5 feet each. And what I'm going to do, since I have 4 of these, I'm going to set up a little stop block on my miter station here so that I have the ability just to do easy, repeatable cuts.
I will follow you wherever, and I won't waste this.
Okay, now for my side and back rails. I'm going to measure this out and do a little bit of math to make sure I cut these the most efficient way so that I don't waste material. So give me a second to work on that. I can get one back and two sides out of each one of these boards if I cut my design down just slightly, which I think will be fine, just to efficiently use the materials that I have.
Could you come a little closer now? 'Cause I don't wanna slow this down. My heart is screaming out your name. I'm wasted on you. Here we are, right underneath the stars. So let's get a little reckless. You make me breathless, and I won't waste this. And I promise that I will stand by you forever. I can't get you out of my mind.
Okay, I've got all of my pieces cut, and I think this is gonna come together pretty easily, famous last words, but it's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna get myself set up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the two sides of the wedging table. So this will be like the right side and the left side first. I'm gonna assemble them first. And so they're going to basically have, each side is gonna have these three stretchers in between like this. So one at the top, one in the middle, and one at the bottom. And I think that that's gonna give it a lot of stability, especially when I'm like wedging and like pushing forward on it. These two legs they're gonna be very solid, I think. So that's what I'm gonna work on doing, is I'm gonna lay out the two sides and get them glued up. And then after they've set, I'll do the back stringers. And then there's one board that's gonna go across the front. I'm not gonna do one on the bottom because obviously I wanna wheel that cart underneath. And I also don't want my legs to hit like anything. So there's gonna be just one apron that goes across the front. It'll make sense as we go along. Just bear with me. So I've got one leg assembly all dominoed. So what I'm gonna do is dry fit all of the pieces together, and just to make sure, And then we're gonna go ahead and glue up the one, and then I'll work on the other side. You certainly do not have to get this fancy on a wedging table. Accidentally acquired some woodworking skills and became something I enjoy. So because I can, I wanna do a little fancier. But if you didn't have a domino and you wanted to do something similar, just use pocket holes. I'm not familiar with what that is. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there on how to do pocket hole furniture. I believe it's probably just as, well, it's not as strong, but I think it would be strong enough. It would serve the purpose quite well. Perfect. All right. So it is just lovely. I'm gonna get my clamps ready. When gluing up, I have learned to get set up really well because it gets a little bit stressful. This is going to be easy, but sometimes glue ups get a bit stressful. So I'm going to have my rags ready. If you have not seen these crocodile cloths yet, and you do see them, grab them. They're awesome, particularly for wood glue and cleaning up in the shop. I'm going to set this up somewhere out of the way to let the glue dry up. And then in a jiff, we'll have the other leg assembly built as well. Okay, my second leg assembly is glued and clamped up. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and reset my shop a little bit. I'm gonna do what I really didn't want to have to do. And I'm gonna rebuild those two doors for my laundry room because I want those to set in the clamps for at least a couple hours. So I've got time, might as well just knock it out. Okay, I know y'all aren't necessarily here for cabinet making content, but I have to share this with you because you're my people and it feels like a huge accomplishment. Making true like shaker style cabinet doors like this, like the, I guess, proper way, is hard to do. And I nailed it with these two and I am super proud of that. Just take a look. I mean, look at how flush this is. Hang on, I'll show you. So anyway, I'm gonna get these glued up. They're kind of a sort of a mortise and tenon style, but I make the grooves here on the table saw. There's a rabbet edge on the back panel that fits into the grooves, and then you do these tenons on the rails. Yeah, and it's a long process and it's challenging, but I'm really proud of myself, so.
Maybe I was blind, known you forever while I tried to find someone that could be my great love. Right in front of me, I didn't realize you were my dream. So you took me by surprise. Oh yeah, even in my wildest dreams, I didn't think we were destined to be. And now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like oh yeah. Wanna give you every part of me. I can't believe this is reality. And now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like oh yeah. I'm just curious, when did you know you had feelings for me? Maybe somehow we've always known that we have chemistry, but always chasing after someone else. So this took me by surprise. Oh yeah, even in my wildest dreams, I didn't think we were destined to be. And now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like oh yeah. Wanna give you every part of me. I can't believe this is reality. And now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like oh yeah. Even in my wildest dreams, even in my wildest dreams. Oh yeah, even in my wildest dreams, I didn't think we were destined to be. And now you're laying.
So it's painting day, not exactly my favorite day, but it is kind of a fun day because it means everything is getting just a little bit closer to being done. And that's very exciting. And I fortunately had all my cabinet doors to paint and my wedging table to paint. So it made sense to go ahead and set up a spray booth and get my paint sprayer set up because that just makes it easy to knock out a lot of things all at once. And so that is what I'm working on right now. Okay, so I've got primer on everything. And before I jump to the next coat, one very important step is actually to hit it with a little sandpaper. So this is like 180 grit sandpaper, and you don't have to like sand hard, but you just want to go over all the surface, because what happens, this is made out of the posts and the rails are out of poplar, and even just the plywood that's on the sides here, that primer will like raise the grain a little bit and the surface will feel kind of rough. And I used to think that you could just paint over that and the paint would like settle and it would smooth it all out, and it does not. It does not. So you want to hit it with a little sandpaper and then try to wipe off all that dust before you move on to your actual cabinet paint. So I'm going to do that now.
Wouldn't lie to you, doesn't matter what I do. She's got a hold on me. She knows how to drive a truck, but she lets me pick her up when we're going dancing. My heart stops beating when my headlights shining on her. She's my country girl. I couldn't tell you what she's doing with me. She's so damn She's a little bit crazy on the weekends, dancing.
Okay, friends, it is Sunday, about mid-morning. This is always the point in time, because I'm a bit of a weekend warrior. But this is when I really have to take a healthy look at what I'm going to be able to finish and what I'm not, so I can set a realistic goal for the rest of the day and then get everything cleaned up and just save what needs to happen for the next weekend, So I did get a final coat on all my cabinet doors, which is awesome. I also did a little bit of touch up on the wedging table. I decided to remove the screws that were holding the inside panels. I had glued those panels and screwed them to the sides, but I didn't want to have those exposed screws. So I backed those out, put in a little bit of filler. I need to sand that and do a little bit of touch-up paint. But I think I'm gonna get all of this sort of cleaned up. I'm really excited to get these doors hung. Then I think what I'll be able to get done today is I wanna laminate the top of my wedging table, and then I can take it all downstairs and have a pretty working wedging table again. I have bigger dreams for that wedging table, but that's gonna have to wait for another weekend. I'm pretty excited about that. For now, I'm just gonna put the plaster wedging block that I already have on top of it, and so I can get back to work in the studio if I want to. But I do have bigger plans for the wedging table. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you did. In an upcoming video, you can see maybe the really exciting mega wedging table setup that I've got in my mind. Anyway, for now though, I do want to show you the finish I got on these cabinet doors, and the light's not great in here, but I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I think I'm most excited to get these cabinet doors hung. That's definitely happening today. So I'm going to start on that first, and then I need to clean up and take down the spray booth and all that. So okay, so the cabinet doors are all hung. I'm very happy with how they came out. I did also finish out the trim on the floor that I had to take out before the whole project started. And then I added some trim around the base that I built for the washer and dryer to set on. So that just needs to be caulked in some touch-up paint. But I think I'm gonna shift gears and go back to the wedging table and get the top done so that I can get that back downstairs before the week starts. And so yeah, that's my plan. Now, what I'm hoping, I've got this extra piece of white laminate. This is the same laminate that I did on this workbench top. Actually, all the workbench tops in the shop here. It might be, I'm afraid it's gonna be a little bit too small, but I think it would be the perfect top for the wedging table. I already built this. I think I maybe showed that in a previous video. This is the top that was on the wedging table before. What it is just 2 3/4-inch sheets of plywood, and then I put an edge around it with just some poplar. And so my hope is that, oh, this is gonna be just too, well, shoot. What should I do? I could, with this scrap of laminate that I have, it would cover the plywood all the way, all of the plywood, and then I could leave the poplar edge exposed. The only thing that's gonna be really challenging about that is that I was gonna adhere this with contact cement, and it is very, very, very tricky to get this on. Usually, like, it's nicer if this was wider and would cover all of it. Then I could contact cement it, put it on, and then I would just go around the edge with a router and trim it off, and it would look really clean. I'm not sure what to do. The odds that I could get this on here just lined up perfectly and have it look good, because then once it's on, you can't really do anything. Like, it's kind of just there. But it is like kind of the perfect size. You would feel like a little bit of a lip right there. So, ew, what do I want to do? The big thing is that my plan is, in the long term, to do something totally different with the top. I mean, I'll still use that top, but I want to kind of have like an integrated built-in plaster block. So all this is going to get covered up anyway. So maybe I don't bother with that. Maybe for now I just paint it. Because if I just paint it, then it will still be easy to clean until I do my long-term vision for it. I put all the paint stuff away, but maybe that makes the most sense. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to paint it. Okay. It was worth a shot though. Shoot, if this was just like another inch wider, it would have worked perfectly. So that's a bummer. I'll save it for something else. So this has a lot of clay dust on it, and I've got some holes in here that I'm gonna patch. So I think I'll just clean it up and then give it a quick sand, and then we'll get the paint back out.
There is a life I lead in this
city, hurrying to cut my teeth. I can take what I need to get by. It doesn't make it easy. The other piece of my heart moves slow, somewhere in the great unknown. When I return from the afterglow, will you carry me like I am whole again? Wait, hold on. Put me together.
Okay, friends, I got 2 coats. I might be overly optimistic, but I think that might be all the top of the wedging table really needs. But I'm gonna let it dry and we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and carry the base downstairs maybe tomorrow. So I think this is where I'm gonna leave you for today, but I will put in some footage at the very end of the wedging table back in its place so you can take a look at that. Anyway, I really appreciate you being here. It was so much fun to hang out with you while I was getting this work done, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks, friends. Bye.
I belong. I want it all. I had a feeling, but the feeling is all gone. Wait, hold on. Put me together, take me back where I belong. I want it all. I had a feeling, but the feeling is all gone.